Diwali, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year's. The holidays are roaring towards us like a runaway train, but we're going to help you with that. This is ConTinual, the never-ending convention. My name is Jean Marie Ward, and I will be your host tonight with 6 wonderful participants who are here to help you deal with all of your holiday food issues, including what to serve those pesky Klingons who show up unannounced. So without further ado, we're going to get started and let everybody introduce themselves, beginning with Layla.
Hi, everybody. I'm Leila Rayne. I write LGBTQ romance, romantic suspense, and also contemporary romance, most of which is foodie romance. So I'm excited to be here on this panel tonight, talking about one of my favorite things.
Cool. Angela.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Pritchett. I am the author of Shut Up and Eat, the unofficial Doctor Who series cookbook. And yeah, I'm glad to be here tonight.
Wonderful. Doc.
I'm Daniel Myers. I'm a writer and programmer, and I also write cookbooks like this lovely dwarven cookbook.
Oh, okay, cool. Irene.
I'm Irene Preston. I write romance, contemporary, and paranormal. My contemporaries usually have a high food element in them. My paranormals present a problem for me because what do you feed a vampire?
Blood pudding.
Oh, yes, blood sausage. But then again, the digestive tract can be a problem. Catherine.
My name is Catherine Barson Eastis. I run The Gluttonous Geek, a nerdy food blog where I write recipes that bridge the bridge between food and fiction. I also run a weekly cooking show called Munchies and Minis, where I develop and make recipes inspired by various tabletop role-playing games such as Dungeons & Dragons, Shadowrun, and Pathfinder.
Oh, cool, cool. Jim.
I'm just here because I'm hungry. No.
And you also feed the multitudes. That we know.
That I do upon occasion as well. I'm Jim Nettles. I write science fiction, fantasy, horror, a bit of urban fantasy, a bit of contemporary, as well as nonfiction, a bunch of other stuff as well. I do cook a bit, and I also have been known to, I've actually written a cookbook or two, and actually I'm a certified barbecue judge amongst everything else, just to throw that out there.
Now I'm getting hungry. Anyway, okay. It seems like we've got some cookbook authors here, as well as we're all serious nerds. So I'm going to ask you all, what is the holiday, whether real or fictional, that you most associate with food? Jim?
Thanksgiving. I mean, that's really the biggest one. And actually, because of some of the cooking and stuff that I do, that's usually the one where I'm cooking for 4 or 5 days in preparation, and a little bit of it's even for us, but that's probably my big one.
Okay, Irene?
Oh God, why is my answer always all of them? Every question I ever get, like, which is that? It's like all of them. I think you could just sort of start at Halloween and go through Easter. I think all of our holidays, at my family at least, have a huge food component.
Doc?
I think we need to start a new holiday called Gluttonous. Thanksgiving, I cook fairly traditionally, but I do a lot of really fun cooking for solstice.
I forgot that in the intro.
21st, I always take the first day before that's a work day, I take that off, and I cook a lot of fun, fancy food. Okay,
I'm gonna have to ask everyone, after I go around, what is your specific dish for the holiday that you mentioned. So, Layla.
Probably a little bit like Irene. Ours tends to go from Thanksgiving to New Year's. Thanksgiving, we usually have a big group, and my husband, when he was like, we always cooked for everybody. He was a grad student, and so everybody came to us. Like, we had 30 something people one year. We have a smoker. Jim, we should talk barbecue. We're from North Carolina originally, so yes. And then Christmas, you know, something to do with steak. And then New Year's is the one where we have a lot of fun with charcuterie, just like making trays where you can just kind of hang out and munchy for hours till the ball drops with some good champagne.
Yeah,
So,
can't have it without something that bubbles.
Yeah.
Okay. Angela?
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm kind of the same. It kind of starts by like Mid-Autumn Festival because I bake a lot of bread around that time,
Ooh,
all
okay.
the way through not New Year's, but my birthday, which is the day after New Year's.
Oh, cool.
So I do a lot of stuff all the way through that part. But also, since this is like a nerd thing, I kind of want to also say like what I always consider food with. I kind of feel like every meal in any of J.R.R. Tolkien's books is like a little mini like holiday. So like first breakfast, second breakfast, 11sies. So
I'm going to have to ask you how food works in the, not just, you know, in the Tolkien universe, but in the Doctor Who universe. So, Catherine, okay.
Okay.
What is the holiday you most associate with food, and what is the food on that holiday you can't do without?
So I would say that if it was relatives' family, it would probably be either Thanksgiving or Christmas, because those are the holidays my family celebrates. And it would traditionally my dad would deep fry a turkey. He fell in love with it because he would be using the oven for several other things, and it's just quick and easy for him. So what he really likes to do is use that smoker. And I think he did back in 2019, because, you know, before the plague, he did this crown roast of beef, or one of those rib rack roasts of beef in the smoker, and it was just phenomenal. But other than that, Easter is also his big time to show off too, because he likes to do a leg of lamb stuffed with goat cheese, and yeah, he goes crazy with that. What I usually end up making is a Romanian dish called mamaliga, which is essentially the Romanian version of polenta. But traditionally, the way my family makes it is a heart attack on wheels, as in it is layers of polenta. Just first make the polenta, chill it, slice it up, and then do layers of it with sour cream, Swiss cheese, and my additions over the years have been bacon, black pepper, and garlic. Though I've also...
The garlic takes away all of the cholesterol inducing.
Well, I've also lightened it up by doing about half sour cream, half Greek yogurt. And that's taken away some of the heaviness to it, but that's the usual family thing. As far as found family is, considering that, I mean, I'm a Hellenistic pagan, and a lot of my friends are either pagan or atheist. We've kind of made our own fandom sort of based holidays. Like the first one was Thronesgiving, which was whenever the new season of Game of Thrones would come out, I would cook a 6-course feast because it was blog fodder, but also I've gotten to the point where I'm an eternal hostess. Like, I feel best when I'm feeding my friends. But there was that. There was our wizard party, which was always the Saturday after Halloween, where it was kind of a magical themed Halloween party, where all wizards are welcome, including Jedi because they're space wizards, or the Doctor because they're time wizards or space wizards. All wizards are welcome except for the Grand Wizard of the KKK because he's racist. But yeah, it's more of a gathering of friends, but also feeding them in a way that's sort of a ritual in itself.
So you would say that, could you describe the name again, the Romanian dish with the layers of polenta?
Mamaliga.
Mamaliga. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. Yeah, so that's the one you can't live without. Okay,
Yeah.
Angela, what is the dish for that you or your loved ones can't live without?
So it'd probably have to be two.
Okay.
One is for most holidays, I make a garlic mac and cheese, which is one of my favorite things and other family members' favorite things. And then every year for my birthday, I get a tiramisu as a cake instead of a regular cake. So
Mhm.
kind of that.
That's a very nice thing to get for one's birthday. What about you, Layla? What's the dish?
Thanksgiving is butternut squash soup. We started making Chef Keller's butternut squash soup, I don't know, like 6-7 years ago. First time we did it, it took us over 5 hours. It was a nightmare. We're down to about 1 hour and 20 now. Like, we've got it. Like, we know what we're doing a whole lot better now than we did. We got some, additional toys in the kitchen, which definitely helped make that process go more quickly. And then at Christmas, it's beef Wellington. So my mom used to make that when I was younger. And then a couple of years ago, my husband and I started to make it. And if I like that. If my husband wasn't a scientist, he'd be a chef. So it's better than my mother's. Don't tell her I said that. But it's really good. So.
Oh, sounds very interesting that two of the, we always think of the holidays being turkey, but I'm hearing two beef dishes, crown roast and then the beef Wellington. Jim, are you going to continue the beef theme here? And what is the dish that is essential? And I'm thinking barbecue.
No, actually. So it's not just a thing. I mean, growing up, our, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, all these different holidays. I grew up with Dad doing a lot of the cooking, and we would have the big extended family, all that sort of stuff going on. And sort of, I've picked up a lot of that for both, our family stuff as well as friends and different things like that. But the one that really kind of, I don't think I can not cook it anymore. So, I mean, for like Thanksgiving and Christmas and things like that, I'm always doing fried turkeys, smoked hams, a bunch of barbecue stuff like that. But the one thing that would get me in trouble these days, if I did not cook it, is I will always do a nice big smoked ham where I will take the smoked drippings off of that and then make what they refer to as the holiday crack. And it is you take some of the smoked ham drippings and you mix that with fresh squeezed orange juice, fresh crushed pineapple, brown sugar, mace, cinnamon, nutmeg, and a bunch of other mystery, spices and stuff like that, and cook it down into kind of this just nice little syrup that glaze the ham and stuff with. That if I did not make that, I am pretty certain I would not be allowed back in the house. So
hang on, I'm drooling all over myself here.
Oh, no, that sounds delicious.
And so that's what, and a number of the people, because I cook for not only for us, but for a bunch of friends and stuff like that too, where, there have been years where I've done as much as, smoke 14 turkeys, fry 14 turkeys, do like 12 hams, a couple 100 pounds of barbecue. And, that's about 2 days, for various holidays, but I'm making gallons of crack of the holiday crack. So that's the one I think anymore would get me in trouble if I did not do it.
Cool. What about you, Irene? What is the one dish that the holidays just wouldn't be holidays, wouldn't be festive without?
Well, I do have the turkey hat, which I don't think that y'all can get the full effect. It lights up. I really don't think Zoom is doing it justice here. But it's a trick because we actually use the leftover turkey to make gumbo. So we start at Thanksgiving, and after we have Thanksgiving, we make the Thanksgiving turkey gumbo. And then at Christmas, we have a tradition that comes from my husband's family where we have seafood gumbo on Christmas Eve. And that's probably almost more of couldn't not have it than turkey on Thanksgiving or anything else. It's we always have that gumbo. And in fact, last year when we were separated due to the health situation, we Zoomed our gumbo dinner together with my mother-in-law. She had her gumbo, you know, and we had ours, and we Zoomed gumbo dinner. And then on Christmas, we make turkey again, so there's more turkey gumbo. And, you know, of course, Mardi Gras is going to roll around after that, and more seafood gumbo. So we cook a lot of other things, but if there was one thing that kind of overall that maybe we wouldn't want to do without, that and my husband's rice dressing, those are probably the two things that everybody, and lemon squares. And
Okay.
oh God, he has all the things.
Oh gosh, I am so getting hungry. Lemon squares, is that like lemon bars, only square?
Yes, exactly. So
there.
again, we had a great aunt who made them for many, many years. And when she passed, I sort of took that on. And so now I make like just dozens and dozens of them, and they go all over the country.
Yeah.
I'll take a batch.
Oh man. Yeah, I love those Southern like holiday staples like the lemon bars and deviled eggs and all that. And yeah.
One of the things I started making after a friend of mine, and of course I'm born in the South and everything else, because but a friend of mine introduced me to buttermilk pies, and because I've never met a recipe I don't like to screw with, I will do raspberry buttermilk pies.
Mm-hmm.
and a lemon raspberry and stuff like that will give a night. It's sweet but tart.
Okay.
That anything like the butter tarts that they have like up in Canada or anything like that? Or I don't think I've ever heard of a
Pie?
buttermilk pie before.
Are you talking about chess pie, Jim?
No. Buttermilk
No.
pie. It's
Buttermilk.
Yep. It's a custard type pie.
Oh, okay.
So yes, and it was one of those things that friends of mine from up in the mountains introduced me to, even though it's quote unquote traditionally Southern, it's a very Appalachian one. And so because again, I've never met a recipe I didn't like to mess with.
Yep, I can see that happening. And Doc, what about you? What is the one thing without which it ain't holidays, regardless of the holidays?
The solstice is a little bit tricky because I try not to repeat what I've made. There's always something fancy and fun. I did the beef Wellington. I've done standing rib roasts. Did a whole porchetta at one point. We were eating pork for a week.
Yeah.
The interesting thing with Thanksgiving, I know Catherine talked about deep frying the turkey and such. I've gotten in the habit for the last few years of just deboning the turkey.
The spatchcock, it works so much better.
Completely deboning it.
Yeah.
So there is, and just like, because it's like you took the air out of the turkey and it just flattens down into about a 2 to 3 inch thick layer in the roasting pan, and it cooks uniformly and really quickly.
Yep.
And then
You must have a better oven than I do, because we tried spatchcocking a turkey once. My husband's a good cook, and the skin did not get the required brownness.
you have to cook it at a higher temperature too.
Yeah, we did. It just did not.
It's worked flawlessly for me, but I debone it. It's not just spatchcocking. I completely boneless turkey. And the wonderful thing about that when it comes time to carve it is you just pull it out, drop it on the cutting board, and chop, 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 done. But and we have other dishes like cranberry chutney that I make every Thanksgiving. That was my mom's recipe. A lot of caramelized onions and Duzels. But
What are Giselles?
it's it's in the beef Wellington. It's a
Mushrooms.
mushrooms
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
cooked down with thyme and spices and onion or
wine
shallots.
too, I think.
A
Yeah.
little wine.
Yeah.
Or sherry. I put in sherry instead.
Oh, it sounds wonderful.
Oh,
Now,
it's and butter, lots of butter. But
oh, then I can't eat it.
the really the one thing for us that just says holiday season is Glühwein.
Oh,
Which
yes.
is a nice mulled wine with a little extra kick here and there.
And a lot of spice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived in Germany for 3 years
There you
when I
go.
was little. So yes, I'm very familiar with Glühwein. And I sort of enjoy it even in the Americanized versions you can get in the stores. And it's not that different from the one you can get from Williamsburg Plantation,
Mhm.
which is a mulled wine, they call it. They don't call it Glühwein, but somehow it only appears during the holiday season, you know. Yeah, for what it's worth, the one thing that would get me killed if it did not appear is ginger cookies. The old grandma's molasses ginger cookie recipe that just off the bottle, and then rolled in the sprinkle sugar that you can get from Betty Crocker, and it has to be the Betty Crocker sprinkles, or it just doesn't work right. And it comes off with this nice hard sugary crust with the ginger snap in between.
Yeah.
And I started baking cookies about 15 years ago, just 10 batches, you know, because I do multiple cookies, just 10 batches of cookies for the neighbors. Now it's become industrialized production. It's just, you know, it's like, how many this year? Oh yeah, last year was great. We cut down. We were only at 800 cookies. So yeah, it's
Do I need
insane.
to bring my spare oven up? You know, but
Now I'd like to jump in on that for just a second. There's a cookie recipe I've been looking for years now. My neighbors used to make it when I was 10, and they're rolled out molasses cookies, really dark brown, almost black. The neighbor would cut them in lozenge shapes, little diamond shapes, with a little royal icing on top and a pecan.
Mhm.
I can't find the recipe anywhere.
I remember that shape of cookie, though I don't remember it quite that dark from when I was younger.
Yeah, they
Only
had a
in-
good, strong ginger and
yeah.
spice flavor, and they were slightly soft too.
And they were basically the ones I had was not pecans. It was one of those hard sugar little silver balls with a dab of the royal icing on it. It sounds like a variation on those dark Caribbean molasses cakes that you see sometimes when they're discussing traditional recipes, because they come out almost black.
and a little bit of divinity chocolate on top with the
so
that whipped divinity.
Yeah, it sounds like one of those recipes that you just have to know it when you see it, because I mean, especially if it's super traditional, because when you look at cookbooks past a certain age, there's not even else. It's just descriptions. And I mean, if it's not something that's really passed down look-wise, it just kind of gets lost. I mean, that's I mean, just looking through like Boston's cooking school cookbook, I'm just kind of going, what's this actually supposed to look like? I have no idea.
But you know where you might find it, if you know the church or synagogue that your neighbor went to, they frequently had church cookbooks or temple cookbooks. I know that that's the only Slovak cookbook that I have. Now they are very treacherous. Let me tell you this. At least a third of those little old Slovak ladies left out important ingredients or instructions in their recipe, so nobody would make it as good as they did.
Yep.
No one can make my great grandmother's cookies. We all have the recipe. Yeah, we have the recipe cards.
Well, interesting thing.
Doesn't taste right.
Interesting thing is a lot of that could also depend on what ingredients they had at the time.
Yeah,
because
the butter, the water.
Well, even something like the baking powder can get you, because not all baking powders like used back then Like
Mhm.
in some cases, just the single acting. In some cases, they were a different chemical composition. I mean, even with like something such as chicken and dumplings now,
Yeah.
Oh, religious
the
issue.
chickens themselves are
Mhm.
bred differently.
Mhm.
Like what you're gonna like the type of chicken that they used to have for those recipes, they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Or you have to get like the super like free range chicken, but no, they don't breed them like that anymore. So you're not, some things are just lost in taste because those particular ingredients just they're not in circulation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
I
know
mean-
my mother-in-law, and okay, and I know what she did. So I'm
Mhm.
sure it's these little old ladies deliberately did it because there was.
I do it. What are
Yeah,
you talking
I-
about?
Yeah, well, Jim, we know you're evil, so that's just fine. But anyway, my mother-in-law did this Slovak apple pie that we call pie R squared because it was made in a oblong dish because you had to have that much of it. And it's very rich with the apples and, very standard instructions, mostly. It's basically crust, apples, cinnamon and sugar, butter on top, crust. Okay. The trick to the pie is you have to liberally cover the base of the crust with basic breadcrumbs. It has to be covered in breadcrumbs. If you leave out the breadcrumbs, the pie just doesn't work. It's a mess. And don't ask me why the breadcrumbs are magic. They are obviously magic, but the breadcrumbs are magic. My husband's brother, and this is also a holiday dish for us because we do it at Thanksgiving and birthdays. So it kind of fits in this. The reason we knew that this was happening, that basically my husband's brother is married to number 3. His, I don't know about wife number 1 because we never talked cooking. She was not into cooking. But when it came to wives number 2 and wives number 3, when Greg's mother gave that recipe to wives number 2 and number 3, she left out breadcrumbs. And they never figured it out until wife number 3 was howling at me that what was wrong with her. She thought she could cook and Chris just will not eat her pie. And I went, what ingredients did your mother-in-law give you? And we discovered, and gee, add the breadcrumbs and suddenly it's Greg's mother's pie. So yeah, you got to watch those cookbooks because it's not all the ingredients, really. It's sometimes I'm just not going to let them cook as good as me.
Well, it's like the wife was really unhappy because she kept trying to find a particular recipe that would taste like her grandmother's apple pies.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out she was in denial about what would make them taste like her grandmother's apple pies.
What was that?
You had to fry them in lard.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, those are going to be good pie.
Mm-hmm.
Makes them taste so much better.
Oh, yeah, I was reading a discussion about pie crust the other day, and people were arguing whether or not you should put lard in the crust. And there are dietary reasons why you shouldn't, but if those dietary reasons are not in effect, put lard in the crust.
Well, pork just gets such a bad rap. I mean, it's actually one of the healthier animal proteins you can have. I mean,
Really?
oh yeah.
More
I mean,
healthier than
just don't
butter? I
go-
mean, we've been given that butter is the be all and end all of animal fat.
I mean, honestly though, a lot of like stuff like margarine and everything is actually worse for you. It's actually better
yeah.
for you to, yeah.
Mhm.
But no, it really just depends on what your cooking application is in moderation.
Mhm.
Because yeah, I mean, lean pork is, sometimes actually better for you than chicken. Also has better
Moderation.
flavor.
Moderation in all things, including moderation.
Mhm.
Okay. Angela, we were talking earlier about the various cookbooks that that several people have had here. In the Doctor Who cookbooks, what are the festive foods that you included?
Well, the way I set up my cookbooks was they're each done by Peter Capaldi's seasons. So whatever they had in those episodes, like if there were food in those episodes, I did a recipe to recreate whatever it was, if it was, or what it looked like, because some of them were on Gallifrey in one of the seasons and you don't necessarily know what he's eating. So some of that, but they do have like the Christmas specials and stuff like that. So I recreate it. Let me see. We actually pull it up and double check and make sure I'm telling you correctly for it. But there is a beef Wellington in one of them. There is some ham recipes, some turkey recipes, because the UK doesn't necessarily do the same foods at holidays that we do. So
Right.
in the US. But yeah, that was big. That's pretty much how I set them up, was just if there was food in the episodes, recreated this, because it's set up, the books are set up by episode. So there is an appetizer, entree, drink, dessert for each episode. So
Okay. And what was your favorite holiday recipe from the book?
I mean, whichever ones I did for the Christmas specials, because that's really the only holiday.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, was it the beef Wellington? Was it a side
So I'm
dish?
looking back through to look, because these are 6 or 7 years old at this point. So I have to remember which ones I did for the holiday special.
Mhm.
So give me 1 second to actually look and see.
I have to do a beef Wellington again.
So good. I haven't done one in a while.
Yeah.
We're
It's
not
been-
doing.
Well, are you
My
guys
husband
gonna
made
invite us
one.
all to the house when you do it? I mean, that's just cruel.
Sure.
Oh gosh, my husband made one with like instead of, since we had our roommate at the time was allergic to mushrooms, we used I want to say Castelvetrano olives for the kind of a top and odd man out of that, and my husband was having fun with the puff pastry, and we had dinosaur cookie cutters, so. We totally had a beef Wellington just covered in dinosaurs. It was great.
Sounds fantastic.
Love it.
That would actually be appropriate for the Doctor Who cookbook, wouldn't it? Because, you know, the anachronism of dinosaurs and beef Wellington right there.
Well, I did find the holiday special. So I did a Yule log, because I love Yule logs and I love the look of them because they're so fun.
Yes.
And then I did a turkey Wellington for the Christmas special.
Oh, cool, cool. Irene, you know, what, let's get into the geekery here, okay? What holiday special or fictional holiday or genre holiday meal would you like to recreate? You know?
Gosh. Like, I don't know why my mind went to hobbits, because they like to eat. Like, but what do hobbits have at what holiday? I don't know, honestly. No, that's a good one though. I feel like a lot of times when I'm reading, there is this kind of, oh, can I make that, or can I make something like it, or what would that taste like? Wow. You know what? I think we considered doing a goose one Christmas, just because of the whole Scrooge thing.
Mhm.
But I don't think we actually carried through on it. Although we did do a turkey on croute one time. So
Oh, okay.
but yeah, not a goose, but nothing like a goose.
Mhm.
No, that's a hard question. I don't know which one would be like my kind of bucket list fantasy holiday meal. I would have to add that one.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Layla? Fantasy holiday that you'd like to recreate that
My favorite holiday movie is Die Hard, but I hate Twinkies, so I can't make that work. So I don't know. I mean, like Elf is pretty funny for a
Mhm.
holiday meal. Like, maple syrup on spaghetti is not too bad. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have one per se. I mean, I wrote a Hanukkah out of season, meal actually in one of my books. Someone was cooking Hanukkah foods for their love interest actually, and I don't know, that I would love to recreate that meal, which I was lucky enough to have with a friend before, and it was just put sufganiyot in front of me.
What was the meal?
Brisket, right? I mean, traditional kind of the Jewish foods, the brisket. I do not like gefilte fish though. That was a hard pass. I was like, this is fish spam. No, thank you. But the desserts like sufganiyot and other honey cake, which is actually more Rosh Hashanah, but her family loved it. So we had it at Hanukkah as well. And it was delightful.
Now I'm craving fish spam.
I cannot get behind. I can't get behind that one. The rest of everything was good, but that was too far for me.
What, give us a sample of the holiday meal from your cookbook that you'd really like to recreate and would want to share with our viewers, Doc.
Now, holiday, I'm not sure, but we had in the Garden and Table, our Halfling cookbook collection, we had a bacon pie that starts with a whole slab, a 2-pound slab of unsliced bacon. And yeah, you cut that up and you mix it with spices and egg, and it really does smell like Christmas while it's cooking. It's just the most amazing thing. Not healthy.
No, that has got to be the understatement of the year. Yeah. Not healthy.
The funny thing is, the moment you said something about fictional holidays, my first thought turned to Unification Day from Firefly, and I thought, I don't want to eat the food from Firefly.
Mostly protein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, although we just came out with a fairy cookbook just this fall, and I now have decided I really want to do a May Day picnic.
Oh, that would be
has all proper fairy food. And note the fairy cookbook is food made from fairies.
Oh no. Yeah. So instead of Soylent Green, you have Soylent Pixie Dust.
It's all fairy folk. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Adam's family. That's so. It's Girl Scouts.
Yes, made with real pixies.
Oh my
I've heard
God.
of pixie sticks, but
yeah, they're real pixie sticks.
It's very economical. Use the whole part of the animal.
And the bones are so crunchy, just like sparrows. Yes. Okay, Jim, what about you? Fictional holiday cookbook that meal from a cookbook you've written, fictional holiday meal that you'd like to recreate.
So I will say this, because in my little Christmas book here, I did put a whole thing about Stollen bread. And I almost put a recipe of the recipe I use for Stollen in there. But ironically enough, I think the one I still want to do, and I think I actually might have done in a way, is because when you watch The Grinch, you have the big feast at the end. And they're always just talking about the roast beast. And I'm like, I just want to know what it is so I can try to cook it. But I mean, I've cooked the whole big thing before where it's just let's see how much stuff, how many people do we have? 50? Okay, great. I can go nuts now. One event I do during the summer, we'll be feeding a couple of hundred people. So you can do all sorts of obnoxious stuff and have a lot of fun with it. But for holidays, that's one that I always look at when they talk about, the big feast and the roast beast. And I'm like, that has 4 legs to it.
One hopes. And one hopes.
Capybara.
Yeah. Oh, but they're so sweet. Yes. Yeah.
So I'm like, is that suckling pig?
Suckling pig wouldn't feed that many. We used to do that in South Philadelphia. So it's delicious, but it doesn't feed a heck of a lot. In fact, the last suckling pig I ever saw was at a Pentagon Christmas party in the 1990s. And I was the only one who wanted to eat it because everybody else was looking at it. They left the head on. Yeah. Can I get some of
those? They haven't been to many
cheeks?
Puerto Rican weddings, have they?
No, they hadn't. They hadn't.
Like, does your food have a face?
Oh, look adorable and tasty.
Yes. Catherine, what about you? What meal from one of your blogs that would you like to create? What What geeky meal would you like to create, recreate?
Oh man, no, I've made so much. So I've done about 2 season finales so far of my cooking show, the Munchies and Minis cooking show. And I try to end it out, well, also because the holidays are insane and trying to stream 3 times during the month of December is insane. So I just try to lump in as a holiday special, like all 3 recipes in one holiday special. So the first year I did a Faerun, like based off of Dungeons and Dragons Forgotten Realms campaign, where I did, what was it? Meatballs based off of the goddess Maleki, fourth feast meatballs based off of forest goddess Maleki, which is actually also inspired by a Finnish goddess of the same name, the Finnish goddess of the hunt. So I did like a beef and mushroom meatball with actually kind of a lingonberry and glogie based glaze. Like, yeah, glue on. It's kind of the same thing. Where I did like a midwinter ceviche for the ice goddess, and Tamora's lucky crumble, where it's like a crumble with all sorts of I want to say magic associated ingredients associated with luck, like sesame seeds, for example, in Chinese cultures is usually associated with coins and good luck. So that's also why you find it on a lot of desserts around like the Chinese New Year and whatnot. I had to basically like do all sorts of crazy takes on what's considered sacred for this particular culture and how can I build on that, considering a lot of holiday food is really descended off of a lot of pagan imagery. I mean, the whole concept of burning sacrifices. Well, I may not be able to sacrifice my pig, but I've cooked up a bunch of biscuits in the shape of pigs with that intent towards you, and I'm going to throw that into the fire to show my devotion. You can say the same thing of Christmas cookies in that particular sense, when you are making images associated with that particular sacred rite. So I know I'm kind of blathering on here, but I want to say that the weirdest thing, I don't know if I really call it weird, or funniest thing I've made as far as holiday food is an absinthe brined turkey.
Ooh.
Absinthe and cranberry brined turkey that I done deep fried based off of Bob's Burgers. Because part of it too is Bob Belcher from the show Bob's Burgers is the king of Thanksgiving. My dad is also the king of Thanksgiving. My dad looks kind of like Bob Belcher. I actually had a picture of like the evolution of Bob, where it's like Bob Archer playing Bob from the Archer cartoon, and then my dad, and it's just like simple, more realistic. Holy crap, that's a photo. That was my first year too. So like he loves, whenever he tells people about my blog, he just has to pull up that page and go, look, I'm on the blog. I'm Bob. I make I deep fry turkey, and that, yeah, we have that little thing. So that's probably the weirdest thing I've done holiday wise for the blog, other than the Galentine's Day for Toffles based off of Parks and Rec. Yeah,
that's going into really deep into nerd territory.
It's like Valentine's Day, but with like Lilith Festival and frittatas, as Leslie Knope puts it.
Frittatas. Okay.
Okay, sorry, I'm blathering.
No problem. We've got a bonus round coming up here, and that is holiday hacks. What are your favorite, as cooks, as chefs, what are your favorite holiday hacks for our audience? Okay, Catherine?
Crock pot and sous vide machine.
Okay.
Because most things tend to require an oven. If you can take that part out, like I think we would just get hams and stick them in the crock pot with like cranberry juice and cranberry sauce and orange, and just let it go while everyone else is fussing in the kitchen. We're just sitting there drinking eggnog. Don't mind us. Like more more eggnog with your bourbon? No, I'm good. Um,
Why would you want to have cream products with your bourbon? Waste good bourbon, says the lactose intolerant girl. Anyway, Angela, favorite holiday hack.
Holiday hacks that I would say for people that aren't as confident in cooking is don't be afraid to get stuff that's pre-made. Like if you're not really confident in making bread or something, get the pre-packaged stuff and use it, because like you don't want your time to experiment and learn to be when you're cooking for your family at Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever holiday it's at. So don't be afraid to go and get the pre-packaged stuff and use it to put in your food.
Okay, great. Doc?
Stuck. Other than deboning the turkey, I don't. And
That's
following on Angela's comment, I would like no. For solstice, I'm always cooking something I've never made before, so it is all experimental. But my kids are used to being experimented on.
And you're more confident though than some people.
That's true. But we're part of a medieval recreation group, and there was one time we went out to an event with a feast, and my kids sat down. One of them looked at what was being served and said, "Oh, we had this last week." So, yeah, how many others are going to say that about 14th century food? Really, yeah. I do have a hack because I've ended up cooking feasts for upwards of 100 people with just a small handful of people, and usually a kitchen crew and almost no facilities. I end up making what I call a brain book. And in the medieval recreation groups, the purpose of this is that if I get hit by a truck, somebody else can take over making the feast, and they have all the recipes, all the notes, all the details for how to make do with the ingredients. But it also includes very specific timetables, and I've made one up for Thanksgiving because I do make the same thing for Thanksgiving every year. And for me now that it has gotten so easy to cook for 20 people, no problem. I can do 20 to 30 people at the drop of a hat. Get up to 60, then I'm starting to sweat. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Irene, holiday hack.
Prep cocktails. And I cannot believe I am going to cop to this, but because of the gumbo, Tony Chachere's instant roux, don't get that gunk in a jar. My husband will kill me, but he did not know I had substituted it until after I told him. And it will make the fat lower. So it's a slightly healthier gumbo, but it tastes, he couldn't tell the difference. So
Okay, what is how do you spell that?
Tony, I don't know, Cachere.
Okay.
It's a powdered, or I've actually experimented on. Occasionally, you can't get it in Texas where I am. Pretty reliably, I can now, but I used to didn't be able to sometimes. But you can kind of hack the hack by browning flour in the oven and using that instead of making a roux out of something decadent like butter or bacon drippings. So and flour.
Cool. Okay, that's a great hack. Okay, Jim, what about you?
Have plenty of alcohol on hand. And liberally use it in the cook and in the food. It'll be fine. But be patient. And also, don't be afraid to go get stuff, but know that you can dress it up. You can do some stuff that gives presentation, shows that you still got the love in it, but you didn't have to spend 3 days in the kitchen cooking. But there's a lot of little things that you can do that will, you can take, if you do want to go get the frozen bread dough, or if you're getting a lot of the purees and stuff like that to start as a base, You can do a lot of stuff really fast, really easily. Granted, I like to do things the hard way just because it's the hard way. But, you know, there's a lot of things you can do that'll dress it up really fast, really easy. And everybody will think you spent more time working on it in the kitchen than you actually have. But
Well,
have fun with it.
Yeah.
Have no
However,
fear.
I will say, Jim, that parsley does not save an imploded turkey.
It does not.
I just want to add on to what Doc was saying earlier about timetables. A big thing is to make sure to read the recipes you're using all the way through,
Mhm.
and then figure out the timing based off of what you're like, what you read in the recipes. That's a huge, huge difference.
Okay,
And-
that is a good
and-
one.
Oh yeah, and don't drop your frozen turkey into a deep fryer frozen.
Oh,
No.
But you can smoke one. You can put it on the grill and slow cook it and smoke one that's still frozen and still have it in time for dinner. It doesn't work as well in the oven, but if you do it in a smoker or you do it in the grill where it can evaporate off, it will still cook and get you there. If you screwed up, forgot to take it out of the freezer.
That's a good one to know. Layla, your hack.
Definitely agree with Angela on the, you know, you can buy the parts. We can't bake. I mean, we could if we tried, but we don't like to. And so we will usually either someone's bringing the dessert, like that gets assigned out, or we're going to go get it from someone who's going to make it delicious, right? But then back to the soup that took us 5 hours the first time, a Vitamix. That was that was the hack, right? So when you walk past the guy in Costco and you just ignore him, don't ignore him. Like that thing will change your life. That and the sous vide machine are our major hacks.
Okay, cool. Very
So-
cool. Okay, with that, we have, you know, a lightning round. If anybody wants to add anything before we all say happy holidays and good evening. So any volunteers?
carrot pudding. I've got a recipe for it's like a bread pudding with grated carrots, fresh out of the oven with a splash of brandy on top. I'm hungry again.
I'm on the West Coast and I haven't eaten dinner yet, and this has killed me.
Okay.
The thing I've made a couple of times for a couple of friends, like Halloween parties in the last couple of weeks, I've been doing baked brie that was nice, fast, and easy. And
Yeah.
But make it a baked honey brie where you're also using some shredded Parmesan in it because it gives it a little bit firmer body, and a splash of vanilla in it because then you get the waft of vanilla when you dip into it.
Mhm. Ooh. So this is a
Southern-
dip. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Southern style sausage balls are great appetizers and breakfast.
Mhm.
My mother-in-law makes, yeah, they're just a tradition now.
Yeah. Okay. Irene, Angela, anything you want to throw out?
I have a whole thing of Brie in my fridge, and I want to go make Brie now. Make Brie.
Irene?
No,
Okay.
happy to be here.
Yeah. Anything you want to, you know, any food stuff you want to throw into the party mix here?
No, I am like jonesing over like several things that other people have mentioned right now. I feel like we're all going to be making beef Wellington soon. So my food brain is fried.
Although the suckling pig is now competing with the beef Wellington. I got
Now,
Oh,
if you
My
yeah.
want,
husband just
I
brought a
have-
bunch of venison home.
Yes. Oh God. The
And-
one
and
thing
another-
my mother made once that was spectacular was venison meatballs. You basically use equal ground venison and pork,
Mhm.
and then make them like a traditional Italian meatball, but do not use egg.
We
Use the
just made
sauce.
some and need to put them in the smoker. But yeah, venison sausage. We've got basically he went on this hunting trip and his boss shot an extra deer and gave us the whole thing with exception to the tenderloin and backstrap. So yeah, I would think the two sirloin like bone and sirloin roasts are probably going to be our Christmas dinner with my parents.
ooh,
Oh, that sounds
Oh.
marvelous.
another
Oh.
good thing this time of year is the pig candy. If you can get pork belly, and make
Mhm.
pig candy.
Oh gosh, yes.
Costco.
Ah, yes.
Costco for mates.
Yes.
Now I'm considering
Okay.
actually a suckling pig Wellington. If you can do
That would
that.
be amazing. That would be
I'm just
absolutely.
I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
picturing it with like puff pastries. Just
Exactly. That's
basically, I'm picturing a roasted pig wearing a pastry jacket
and for
or a
dinner is the
pastry
dough
onesie,
pig.
and that kind of is disturbing me a little.
And a little pastry chef hat.
Yep. Okay. Well, we're coming up on the end of the hour, and I'm going to go around and ask y'all to identify yourselves again. Tell folks your cookbooks or holiday works that you want to promote, or the holiday, romances that involve food. Starting with you, Layla.
Sure. So if you're up for a holiday foodie romance, Dine With Me. It has a foodie and a chef going on a 10-day road trip across the country at different restaurants, spanning from 3-star Michelin all the way to dive bars, with some holiday food thrown in there. So check it out. That sounds like something you might like, and holiday oriented as well. And then Silent Night is the one that I mentioned earlier with the Hanukkah meal in it.
Oh,
So and then there's more to come in the Table for Two universe that I write. So,
Okay.
and you can find me online, www.leilarayne.com, and pretty much all my socials are at Leila Rayne.
Okay, great. Irene.
I am online at irenepreston.com, and you can find links to most of my other social media from there. I'm at Irene Preston most places. On Facebook, I also run a reader page with Liv Raincourt. It's After Hours with Liv and Irene. Again, links from irenepreston.com. I do not have a foodie holiday story. I feel really unprepared for that. I do have some foodie book featuring chefs. And I do have a holiday story with you can check those out. The chefs though are where it's at if you like the food. I assume the romance went well, but I get a lot of comments on the food actually. So come on down and have a taste.
Okay, great. Doc.
With books like A Dwarven Cookbook, can I get an angle so that's not reflecting sunlight or light? You can find me at dmmyers.com, and the books are available on Amazon. And nope, that's it.
Okay, great. Angela.
Hey, I'm Angela Pritchett. You can find my socials here. So you can find me online at those places. And you can find my Doctor Who cookbooks on Amazon if you type in my name, and as well as short story anthologies and stuff too that I've written in.
Okay, great. And do you have a website? Social media it is then.
Social medias.
That's cool. Just needed to be sure. Jim?
You can find me at jamesbnettles.com. You can find me at authoressentials.net, authoressentialsworkshops.com. Of course, here at ConTinual, when they let me out from behind a camera. They don't do that very often. I can't imagine why. You can find me on Facebook. Occasionally, I actually do show up in real instead of just letting the schedulers handle it. If you want food, I do throw some of that out there on Instagram and places like that periodically. I do occasionally show up on the hive of scum and villainy that is Twitter. And of course, I've got my holiday release out, which is Krampus Claus, that way.
So cool. And Catherine.
Well, my name is Catherine Barson Eastis. I run the Gluttonous Geek Dirty Food blog. You can find it at thegluttinousgeek.com. I also run a weekly, for the most part, cooking show called Munchies and Minis on Twitch. You can also find me through Twitch at The Gluttonous Geek. And I will be at PAX Unplugged this year, which I believe is the weekend of December 4th over in Philadelphia. I'll be running a panel called Dinner and Dice Rolls on Feeding Your Adventuring Party, where it will be discussing including food in your world building, whether it's games, writing novels, or even just, feeding the people who happen to come to your house each week. whether it's something that's just easy to prepare or, something based off your game. So that's coming up for me, and I will be doing the Munchies and Minis holiday special sometime in December, keeping an eye on my social media. I'm debating whether I want to go holiday with Cyberpunk, with the Shadowrun universe, or see what happens with the Pugmire universe and bring holiday food to essentially dogs with Dungeons and Dragons. I haven't decided yet.
That could be very interesting.
Yeah, it's a creative, but since I've done Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder already, I need to have a different subject rather than just mining everything from Ed Greenwood stuff from Dungeons and Dragons.
As a pug owner, that makes me incredibly happy.
I've done stuff with theirs before. Yeah, the Hunter's Haven Hot Pot, which should be dog safe. Should be. Just leave out the hard cider. Just use regular cider. As long as there's no xylitol, you should be fine. Yeah, stuff I have to look up as a food blogger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like writing a novel. You never know what you're going to have to research. It really
exactly.
is. And food is definitely the original research subject for all human beings. Well, thank you for joining us here at Continual. And thank you to all the panelists for giving us so many good ideas for the holiday feast coming up. We hope yours are splendid and that your new year is happy, healthy, and prosperous. And we hope you'll join us back here next year at Continual.